I'm Lucille Royal, and this is Bill, my husband. And we're going to read a story a true story based on the #1 New York bestseller. And the title of the story is An Invisible Thread. It's a Christmas story by Laura Schroff and Alex Tresniowski, and it's illustrated by Barry Root. My name is Maurice, and I have a friend named Laura. Some people don't understand how we can be friends because we're so different, but we are great friends. I met Laura one day when I was very hungry. We didn't have any food at home, and I hadn't eaten anything in 2 days. So I was standing on the street and hoping someone would help me. A lot of people walked right past me and acted like I was invisible. And then Laura walked by. "Excuse me, lady, do you have any spare change?" I asked her. "I'm hungry." At first, Laura said to me, she said no, and then she looked at me funny. And then she said, "If you're hungry, can I take you to get you something to eat?" I wasn't sure if I should say yes, but then my stomach growled and said, "We're hungry down here. You'd better say yes." So I told Laura that I would go to lunch with her. I had a cheeseburger and some fries and a chocolate milkshake. My stomach and I were both very happy. Laura could tell I needed a friend and was hungry a lot, so she took me to dinner the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that too. We had dinner together every Monday night, and that's how we became friends. At one of our dinners, when it was getting colder outside, Laura asked what my plans were for Christmas. "Nothing," I said. "Nothing?" she asked. "Do you celebrate Christmas?" "I know about it, but we don't have any money for toys and things like that. We've never celebrated Christmas." Laura was surprised. I told Laura about my family. I had 2 sisters, a mother, and a grandma, and we didn't have a home. We lived in a small room in a place called a shelter hotel. My mother was sick a lot. "Have you ever received a Christmas gift?" Laura asked. "Only once," I said. "Last Christmas, I went to a holiday party at the Salvation Army, a place that helps feed people. All the kids there could pick out a present of their very own. A man pointed to a big box of toys and told me I could choose one. I picked out a white teddy bear with a little red heart. It was soft, and sometimes at night when I held it, it made me feel safe. That's the only Christmas gift I've ever gotten," I said. Laura seemed sad, but then she looked like she had an idea. "Maurice, would you like to spend Christmas with my family and me?" she asked. I'd seen what Christmas was like from a lot of people on TV. It looked like so much fun. So of course I said, "Yes, you bet I would." I could hardly wait. The next week I went with Laura to pick out a Christmas tree for the very first time. It was so big we almost couldn't carry it back to her apartment, and we had to stop a few times, but we made it. We decorated the tree in Laura's apartment. Laura showed me how to hang the ornaments, the tinsel, and the lights too. And then we baked cookies and had hot chocolate. Baking cookies was one of my favorite things that we did on Monday night. They were always delicious, and they made the apartment smell so good. Then we just sat down and looked at the tree, all lit up, and listened to Christmas carols. It was just like I'd seen it on TV. "Maurice, I want you to make a Christmas list so I can give it to Santa," Laura said to me as we finished eating the cookies. "You mean I just write it down and Santa brings it? That couldn't be true." "Well, not everything," said Laura, laughing, "but he tries his best." I couldn't believe it, but I wrote the list and put it on a lot of things that I needed: a new jacket, a scarf, and some warm gloves. And then at the very top I wrote that I wanted a remote-controlled race car. I hope Laura was right about Santa trying to bring a lot of things on the list. Still, I wasn't sure about how Santa would find me. On Christmas Eve, Laura invited me to her apartment again. Her sister Nancy was there too. This time there were a whole bunch of colorful boxes under the tree with bows on them. It was amazing. "It looks like this red one is for you," said Laura, "and you can open it tonight. It's from me." I picked up the box, but I wasn't sure about what to do. I looked at Laura and she told me to take off the paper and to see what was inside. I had never unwrapped a present before. I tore off the wrapping paper, and it was exactly what I had wanted. A remote-controlled race car. That night we had dinner and milk and cookies, and I got to play with my new car and dunk my cookies in the milk. It was the best Christmas Eve I'd ever had. On Christmas Day, I went with Laura and Nancy to their sister's family's house outside the city. I had been there before, but still couldn't believe how big it was. The yard looked like a whole park to me, covered with snow. I got to see Laura's father, Nunzi, and her brothers Frank and Stephen, and her sister Annette, and Annette's husband, Bruce, and their kids, Colette, Derek, and Brooke. Derek was about my age, and I brought my new race car so Derek and I could play. And then I saw their Christmas tree. It was even bigger than the tree that Laura and I had gotten, and underneath it were millions of presents. I thought, this has to be the luckiest family in the whole world. We all sat down for Christmas dinner, and Annette said grace. Dear God, she said, we thank you for the wonderful blessings you've given to us, and we thank you for letting us spend Christmas with our new friend Maurice. And then we had dinner. We had a big toast, we had a big roast, and ham and mashed potatoes and green beans and corn and warm rolls, and that wasn't everything. I'd never seen so much food in all my life. But the food wasn't even the best part. The best part was how everyone sat around the big dining room table and talked and laughed and had so much fun just being together. It felt nice and warm, and everyone was happy. I'd never seen that many happy people together. I hope someday that I could have a family like that too. After dinner, we all sat around the Christmas tree so everyone could open their presents. Colette got a jewelry box, Derek got a basketball, and Brooke got a beautiful doll. They got a lot of other presents, and it was so much fun to watch. Then Annette said, Maurice, what are you waiting for? You have Christmas presents too. I couldn't believe it. Son and you were to deliver the presents. I found a red box with my name on it, and then a green box, and then a silver and gold box, all for me to open. I got a winter jacket and a pair of sneakers, a warm scarf and some gloves, and even my very own basketball, just like Derek. There was so much wrapping paper on the floor from all the presents that I almost couldn't see my legs and my feet. Later that night, we said goodbye, and Laura drove me home. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep because my stomach was full, and my brain was full, and my heart was full too. When we got back to Laura's apartment, I asked her if I could leave my presents there. I was afraid that if I took them back to the shelter hotel, they might get lost or worse. Of course, said Laura. They will be here so you can play with them anytime you visit. And I carefully left my remote-controlled car and basketball, but I took my jacket, my scarf, and my sneakers, and my gloves, but I also left something else. Laura walked me home. Thank you for giving me my first ever real Christmas, I said. It was special to me. No, Maurice, said Laura. Thank you for making my Christmas so special by spending it with me. And then she gave me a great big hug. I waved goodbye as I walked up the steps, and Laura waited for me to go inside. I was carrying a bag of food for my mother, sisters, and grandma, so they could have a taste of Christmas too. I wanted to share whatever I had with them. When Laura got back to her apartment, she noticed that I had left something under the tree. I thought we opened all the presents, she said out loud. But she was puzzled. But there was one more just for her. It wasn't in a box and it wasn't wrapped. It was just tucked under the tree, but it was still a Christmas present. It was the only thing I had to give her. My white teddy bear with a little red heart. Merry Christmas, I wrote to Laura on a piece of paper. Thank you for being my friend. That night I went to sleep all tingly and feeling good. I felt happy and full, and I thought about my wonderful Christmas and what I loved the most. I didn't love my presents the most, although I loved them very much. I didn't love the food the most, although I loved that too. What I loved the most was just my new friends sitting around the big dining room table, laughing and joking and having fun, just being together. I thought about how when I got older, I wanted to have a family too, and sit around that big dining room table with all my kids and laugh and talk and have special Christmases together. Just before I drifted off to sleep, I looked outside and saw a silver moon in the sky. It seemed like it was making the whole city glow and twinkle just like I felt. And I thought, this was the best Christmas ever. And Laura sat in front of her Christmas tree, holding her new white teddy bear. And then she looked out her window and saw the same glowing, sparkling moon in the sky. She felt the warm glow, too, and she thought this was the best Christmas ever. And boys and girls, and people, this story tells us about how Morris celebrated Laura's 50th birthday with her, and he gave a toast, and he had grown up, and he had a family, and Laura and her family often visited him and sat around the table and enjoyed being together and laughing.